Hello and welcome everyone to Jekyll Geek's RPG Room. I am Jekyll Geek and this is my RPG room. About a year ago, I just checked my fourth video about my experiences at going to last year's Dragonflight convention in Bellevue. And I decided since I went again this year, I would do the same. And well, the other convention I went to, I also made a video about, so you can hear me talk about my experiences at conventions. Yay. The biggest thing that has changed from last year to this year is that I took my advice in having a more packed gaming schedule this year, as I played in 6 games and ran 1 game of DC 20, which I will talk about later. But I'd like to go into chronologically. After dealing with somewhat light or medium traffic, depending how you think of things, in the 405 corridor, I arrived at the Bellevue Hilton with about 40 minutes to spare and realized I did not have my dice for the first game that would occur at 9 o'clock. But fortunately, I was able to get a hold of some dice from the only open there. And in fact, I got some special dice with Mayan numerals on it, which helped me out for the rest of the Friday day. And got me ready for the first game, which is at 9 o'clock. It was a game of Dungeon Crawl Classics. Namely, a funnel, or what is called a zero level adventure, is called something called a funnel, called Danger in the Air, in which I and 5 other adventurers, players, there were multiple player characters because this is a funnel, went up and to a dungeon, which was actually some weird floating jellyfish slash spaceship. It's hard to explain entirely, but it was weird, cool, and quite deadly. If you're wondering where that murder and suicide come from, I would put the suicide part in this one because about a couple hours in, I realized I was the only player that didn't have a character die yet. And I wouldn't exactly call it suicide, but often you shouldn't drink strange things you find in strange floating jellyfish dungeons. And I definitely knew that, but I felt like everyone else had at least one of their characters die, and I was a bit left out. But overall, I found this was a fun adventure, and talking about it, I've learned that this is not at least just scratching the surface of what Dungeon Crawl Classics can do. So I'm probably going to have a solo play of that sometime. I'm not sure exactly when. I want to have it bit of a buffer between that and my last OSR game, but I do want to play Dungeon Crawl Classics sometime. Which leads me to my second adventure, rather a game that I played in, which was a game of Savage Worlds. And that was the first Savage Worlds game I played in. And I'm not sure what this was based off, since Savage Worlds is a very flexible system, but it was a sort of a kid or teenage superheroes in training game, which turned out to be pretty fun to play. I found it interesting play, and I will definitely have to look into not Shadow World, Savage Worlds further. But yeah, I found the flexibility in how the characters were balanced against each other, each of us being able to contribute in different ways. I was playing the strong character, but yeah, the ability to create different characters with different specialties was rather fun and interesting. And the fact that there was this initiative system which was card based, which I'll probably have to get into more when I actually do a Savage Worlds solo play, as well as the fact that in Savage Worlds Dice Explode, were a couple of things that I really will have to look into more future in my solo play endeavors. The next two games I don't want to really talk too much about, but uh, sad to say they were not that great. The first one was a combination between Pathfinder and Shadow Dark, which seemed to be an okayish adventure for the other players, but I ran into some problems. First being that it always sucks when you are a martial character fighting enemies that can only be hurt by magic and you don't have a magic weapon. Even the game master understood that one, but that's that's just one of them. And the second is I played a character pre-gen that didn't look like it was all that suited for the adventure, as all the rest of the encounters were ghoul and deads and were pretty much trivialized by the party cleric casting turn undead, which I don't mind in itself, but it's like my character didn't really get a chance to do anything all that impactful. And I could say that about the Starfinder game I played in my second day, being Saturday there. But I don't want to go into too much of either of those. Although I would say one more thing I learned about the Pathfinder Shadow Dark combination game is that OSR combat isn't really that good. And before anyone attacks me about saying this, I think the point is it's not supposed to be that good. It's supposed to get out of the way so you can do more exploration. Whereas this was based on a Pathfinder game, so we just did combat after combat after combat, and that was not great. So about 3 o'clock, or just a little bit before 3 o'clock on Saturday, I was not feeling that great. But fortunately, at 3 o'clock, that was the DC 20 game against the Goblins that I was scheduled to game master. And it was the first game or that I played in a long time that had maps and minis that I bought and assembled, as well as some sheets that I printed out for my players. And I want to say that it really turned out great, and I really felt good after running that game. So, lesson of the day is that GMing even a decent or good game is a lot better than playing in two less than great games. So, learn to GM and give back to the community in that way. But yeah, the DC 20 adventure that I planned turned out pretty good. The two remaining games is one that was on Saturday and the last one was on Sunday, but the last Saturday one was a strange Call of Cthulhu game called Dockside Dog, based off of the Quentin Tarantino movie Reservoir Dogs. And it was a trippy and rules light experience, which was very enjoyable. And I would say that I committed one of the cardinal sins of playing in an RPG, but the thing is, given this scenario, it worked out. If you've been in this hobby, you would understand the world. The That's what my character would do is a easy sign of a very bad player to play with, especially if that's what my character would do is the result of them shooting another player character. Not that, yeah, we just had plastic guns that weren't loaded, so I didn't actually shoot the player, just the player character. But even so, that's usually something bad to do. But this was most okay in this game because, unlike most games where that's what my player would do as something hostile to another player character, I did this totally because I looked at my character sheet. It said my character cares about some things, and I just shot someone because that other player character shot one of my character's family members. So that, and we're pretty much criminals, and so I just did what my character would do. And the thing is, the scenario did allow for, or rather expected that, because we didn't really have much outside conflict. But even though that was great, I pretty much hope to not shoot another player character ever again in a long, long time. And if you're wondering, that's where the murder portion of the thumbnail comes into play. The last game I ran, no, I didn't run. I was played into it, definitely didn't run it, but it was a Fallout game based on Fallout 4 that ran on Sunday for about 5 hours, and all those hours were definitely worth it. I found the post-apocalyptic setting something that really worked out for an adventure that was largely investigation. And I really think I had a good game master with that game. But I'm really interested in trying out the Fallout system some more. As there is equipment, not equipment, but inventory management that you have to do. But in Fallout, this is even more important and not just complicated, but there's more levels to it than even say an OSR game where you're tracking rations and arrows and torches. But I really liked it and do look forward to a Fallout solo play sometime in the future. And that was my convention experience, but I do want to wrap up by telling you some things that are going to happen in the future with this channel. Namely, I have the next 4 solo play series lined up to some extent or another. Being that I wanted to play more a straight forward Call of Cthulhu adventure, but that was the only one I could get into, was the Dockside Dogs. Even so, I did really enjoy it. That's really the important thing. But I am trying to try Call of Cthulhu solo, and look forward to as well in the coming weeks. I also plan to start releasing videos of my solo play of Shadow Dark, which I found really works well with solo RPGing. And after that, there is Dragonbane, which I am in the middle of creating as we speak. And after that, I plan to try Blades in the Dark. But after that, I might try some of the systems that I played at Dragonflight 2026. And that is the video, and I hope you found this video slightly educational and somewhat entertaining, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.